We're talking about the holding of their 42nd annual conference in Johannesburg, and that is with the International Institution of Communications, and this is the second meeting that they are holding this in South Africa here. And to give us more on that topic is Stephen Mncube. He is chairperson, as I said, of ICASA. Stephen, thanks for your time. I'm sure and I hope you enjoyed the launch last night.
Yeah. Well, let me start by complimenting you for such a beautiful launch. I even like the way it was highly formal, but the way you have arranged, chairs and the deco, it made it conducive for interactive, behavior.
I'm going to be telling marketing that you did an excellent job.
Splendid, because normally when you are dressed formally, it's as if people are cast in stone.
I'll tell you that
but this time we really like.
I slept past midnight trying to read and get to grips with some of the issues. But let's talk about some important issues that you and your colleagues in the International Institute of Communications are talking about at the weekend. You are gathering players from around the globe who look around communications issues. Let's begin top line. What issues are you focusing on?
Thank you for that question, because as a regulator, obviously everything will be within the parameters of our regulatory rules and regulations.
Sure.
But what makes this conference to be of a particular interest is that ICT, it's a world that has been so fluid and volatile, and so many rapid changes have been coming on board. Example of that, we have this migration from analog to digital. And this poses a lot of questions to why migrate from analog to digital in the first place.
Indeed.
And we are
if it ain't broken, don't fix it.
Exactly. So if we have to do that in a more excellent way, the first thing is to say, like where you had one channel, you now can have 8 channels. This means then, what do you do with those channels?
Sure.
Are you going to bring relevant content, for what? For developmental, purposes.
Right.
And we talk about development in South Africa, but it is more on a heuristic basis. The president sets a vision, and then everyone has to follow that vision almost religiously.
Right. So you guys at the weekend are discussing how to, in part, implement some of that vision.
Yeah, but before we can actually implement that vision, we need to convince ourselves that, the wealth of information that resides in other countries where there are positive stories that happen when they migrated
sharing
from
experiences.
Digital. We want to make sure that we are also equally versed with what they have done.
Yeah, I was speaking to a colleague the other day when we were talking about regulators. In general, we do know that regulators across the board always suffer from a lack of funding.
Precisely.
And particularly more so for communications, in an age, as you've just pointed out yourself, where you have these rapid changes. Are you being adequately funded? Are you raising these issues at this conference?
No, we have not been adequately funded, but I don't think we can use that as a civil excuse to run away from the objective conditions that regulators face. Because some of it must be blamed squarely on us. We have so many industry operations here who have vast informations, but do we invite them to share that information before we can blow our whistle? Often we don't. We were very parochial and provincial to our regulatory space. And anybody who tried to enter that space, we saw them as suspect. But this has changed now. For instance, in South Africa, we met with the captains of industry who told us that regulation is good, but let us try and be flexible and creative within the letter of the law or within the spirit of the law.
Okay. So if you were to sum up for us, when you emerge after that conference at the weekend, What would be the main objectives? What do you hope to have achieved?
Well, there were profound utterance in that meeting, because all of us signed as captain of industry that we are going to use ICT not as an end in itself, but as a means to an end. We are equally important. We are going to use ICT to create jobs. And we came up with a round number of 1 million jobs that must come
within communications.
Yeah, within communication.
Okay.
And when you see those numbers, they are staggering. But if you start being clinical about it, then you say, content needs to be created. Where there was just one station, if there are 8, it means, people can compete more.
Sure.
Your program is not just, neglected, rejected because there is no way of, flighting it.
Okay. So the communications experts you're gathering at the weekend, what will they give you?
They will tell us about their experiences in India, in the USA, in Tanzania. It's almost recreating what I was part of, the ComTask team. We visited 17 nations to find out how government communicate with its people.
Right.
But this time I don't have to go gallivanting all
around the
world. They are coming to us and coming up with very pristine, fresh ideas. And I don't claim that we also are just tabula rasa. We also have our own ideas that we have been toiling with.
Right.
And through this conversation for these 4 days, we'll find that there are certain things that we agree with and certain things that we knew but we're doing wrong.
Right.
So this gives us a platform to really look at government policies, regulators, and our strategy and how we can work together without getting into the policy space deeply.
Absolutely. We wish you well in that conversation at the weekend, and that's being organized by the Independent Communications Authority of South Africa, and they will be discussing trends in global communications and making digital society work in a universal way. And we were talking to Dr. Stephen Mncube, Chairman of ICASA, as I said.